Yeah, that's working. Can you folks hear me online? Can you folks hear me online here? I have to hit the button every time I talk. That's going to be forgetful. All right, there we go. Let's see if I can get that. See, driving mode. No. All right, let's see here. All right. Okay, connected audio and they cannot hear you. Okay. Here, record. Why can't you hear me? Isn't this fun? Oh well. Guess I'll have to bounce the box. No, I don't want to. All right, let's try this again. Going down. Okay, now we're back. Now let's do screen share. And we can do this either from the Jeremy box or from the machine in front of you. To start with, it doesn't matter because I have it installed. The ed command comes with the Linux stuff. And that's what we're going to start with tonight. So I will log in to here. Amper. Get a better screen. So what we're going to learn how to do to start with is Command ED, the line-oriented text editor, and how it works. And basically, it's not very difficult to use. It is a little quirky. So if I type in ED, let's change directory to the assembler and to my chat GPT, because this is kind of what we'll be doing. Is if I type in ed junk.txt, it says there's no such file or directory, but I want to go ahead and insert that and add some stuff. I can say A for append, and then I type in a line. And then when I'm done, I hit enter, and then I put a dot all by itself on a line by itself to give me the next command. So I can say Q for quit or write. So, and I need to bring up my notes because I need to do oops, French. So type a line. So if I say 2, it's blank. There's nothing in the second line. So I'll type in the letter A to append. And here's my second line. Now you're going, why would I want to learn something this old? The mail command uses ed as its editor. So when you send an old school mail using the command that says mail, it uses this editor. So there are times where you end up with this in the Unix class. We talked about this domain specific languages like VIRSH for virtual shell, logical volume manager, the network manager CLI. They sometimes have editors built in, and it's based on this. Okay. So there, and then I can say, let's go write it out. It says, okay, that's 30, total of 31. I go to 1. Now I'm at line 1. 2 is line 2. And when I'm ready to, so W saves it, just like in VI, WQ. And it exits. Now if I cat .txt, there it is. Okay. Now, why do I want you to learn this? Well, we're going to take our typewriter program and turn it into something like this. Okay. We'll use ChatGPT, and we'll keep prompting and asking and prompting and asking, but we want it stripped down. So the only thing it's going to do is maybe we can simplify this saying, let's use a text file that's already created, and it opens it, and we change a line, and it saves it. That's all we want our editor to do. So let me show you a very quick way to create a file. You just say cat minus greater junk who.txt. Now, whatever you type in, okay, and then you hit Control C. Now, if I cat junk 2, okay. Now from a command line, let's do something. I want to create multiple lines in this thing. So I'm going to say cat junk 2, and I'm just going to create a file called temp.txt. And I'm going to run it a few times. Then I'm going to cat temp.txt. I now have created a text file with 6 lines in it without using any type of editor. I just redirected my keyboard input. And now what I can do is say move temp.txt to junk 2. I now have a junk 2 with 6 lines that I can use for my editor. Now I've been playing with this and having some fun with it. And I've done this a couple of times. And these are 2 of the better ones. I've got a bunch on my machine at home. And I called it Edlin because that's the name of the old MS-DOS command on MS-DOS 1.0, 2.11, 3.1. They didn't have an editor command. You had to use Edlin to edit your autoexec.bat and config.sys files. Now, what am I talking about? Late 80s. Okay, very long time ago. Okay. And this is kind of what it looks like. But this doesn't do anything. And this is using this string buffer. Okay. And this one, it says add, delete, or quit, or display. This is it. And then I'll have to look up what I used as a prompt. Has anybody had trouble accessing ChatGPT? That's what I thought. Microsoft has given them the equivalent of billions of dollars in Azure cloud credits. So when you're running ChatGPT, you're on the Azure cloud. And let's see. Did I? This is close to what we did on last Tuesday. I guess it didn't say that. So in your ChatGPT, what you can do here, I'll bring it over here. Is say new chat. And let's see, create an x86, create a x86 underscore 64 assembler program that works like a simplified ed command on Linux. And let's see what I come up with here. Yep, there we go. So it created it, a very basic example. And let's see here. Do it that way. Here we go. So this is what I got. Amount of code is a feature-rich line editor. However, I can provide you with a basic example that read, edit, display a text file. Click. There's your name of your file. And it's actually the rest of the program. And then you can say regenerate. So it gives you more information. Yep, now it's giving me the complete code base. Much better. Better. So now I go up here, copy code, go over here. You can do this two ways. You can bring it into the editor, or you can say cat minus I'm going to call it edlin3.asm and then paste it. Control C. Now I can edit it. So it says, there it is. See what it says. There's a file name. So it looks like it's taking a file descriptor from the command line. Yippee skippy. And it's A, I, P, and Q are the commands. And it says your code to implement A goes here. Append the text to the end of the file. Your code to implement I goes here. P goes here. So it didn't write it completely. So there you go. So start tinkering with this and see if you can get this clunked away a little bit. Okay. The source code for the ed command is written in C, and there's about 6 submodules, and they're non-trivial C to look at. Okay. They use a lot of pointer tricks. I'm not going to recommend you look at the C source code unless you're really good with C. And go, whoa, that's pretty complex. So, and then you say here, you say, whoops. Try this. Please add the ignoring me.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. There, it created it for me. So I just keep asking it questions and it keeps generating it. Append text. So I did it twice. So have some fun with this and learn how to use it. Yeah.
Can we see the first prompt you gave me?
Pardon?
Can we see the first prompt you gave it?
Oh, the first prompt I gave it. Okay, create an x86-64 assembler program that works like a simplified ed command on Linux. Or you could say simplified edlin command from MS-DOS. It will give you the same kind of thing. Now, this is going to be the last assignment before I give you your take-home final. But the results of this is you can get it working, and then I want you to explain to me what you learned by using ChatGPT to fly blind using assembler, but you'll still being a little bit effective. Okay. So I am going to go over here. Append text. Here's append text. What's the likelihood that this is actually going to run? let's see, we got quick program, insert. And print. Quit. There's no delete. So it's a pen, insert, print, and delete. Or quit. So a pen simply goes to the end of the file. Yes.
What was it that you wanted us to do with this program again?
We're creating, playing with the ed command is a line editor. We're using Csci to duplicate a line editor. But the only things it's going to do is append, print, quit, and insert. The ed command has a whole lot more features to it. And I need to bring up my notes because I'm pretty rusty. On how to use it. I got it somewhere. Let me think about where that is. Oh, I know what I can do. Over here. But that's kind of what, and then once you get it all working or not, the assignment you're going to turn in is the source code, a couple screenshots of it working or not, and then explaining how you feel or what's your approach to doing this with Chat even though you don't really understand the soundboard. This is going to be your future. You're going to be running blind. You're running blind with scissors, but you still have to learn this new stuff while you don't even really know how it all works yet. That's real world. Happened to me all the time. Where's the buck? I only need to know this much. So I need to learn that much. And then you can be effective, and then you still start building on it. But that's the goal of what this exercise is. Let's see. Corrected code for a pen. Oh, it's that one. Assembler, I'm spelled right. I like how it explains it. It's like having your own personal guru. Whoops. $198. I have two dot data sections. That's not going to work. File name not defined, prompt not defined, 16 and 29. In VI, if you want to see line numbers, you hit colon and you type in set NU for numbers, and it puts line numbers along the side, but they do not get saved with your file. It just displays them. Uh, Kind of works. Now, what I did is here's the result. Remember, I had 6 lines and it's editing 3. It will append and it will insert. But what it does is it takes the first line and completely trashes it. So it's not like it's opening or doing anything. And then when you quit, it just saves it and exits with no option to do anything. Anybody else get it? Limping?
Pretty close.
Close to limping?
Yeah, close to limping.
Yeah. Yeah, and how many lines is this total? It's geez, it's about 200 lines. And to get, I've been doing this same thing with Lua, trying to learn some of the intricacies of Lua, and it is really speeding up the learning process when you know what you want to ask for. How does Lua hand off its, functions to a C program? And it's very clear on how it explains it. And you go, wow, this is really nice. It's like having a built-in tutor who knows exactly, who answers your questions exactly, considering it has snarfed the entire web. And here's a thing I found with, and it shows you how to use it using the ed command. This is a markdown document. And to view the file, it's comma P, and then 1,10 is print the top 10 lines. Insert. It shows you how to do it. I think I asked Chat GPT, said, what's a quick tutorial for ed? I think that's what this is from. I forget what I'd use for the prompt though. So what I'm going to do is edit my junk2 file here. And oh, look at that. You know what those are? You want to guess? In C, how do you terminate a little string? It's also in assembler. Null terminated string. Whoops. Let's try that again. I don't have a junk3. We've got a junk2. They're all nulls. DI is showing me that I'm getting a lot of extra nulls in there. Now, am I going to try to fix that? No, not really. The exercise is for you to get something limping and then tell me what you learned in this process. Because I have a feeling that this is how your job will progress in this. You'll have to learn how to use AI to your advantage. Okay. It doesn't work for everything, obviously. And this is what it ended up looking like for me. So there's junk2. And where I need to figure out there's commands. Inserts. That doesn't look right. Well, it sure puts in a lot of nulls. Do nulls take up space on disk? Yes. It has a byte count. So there's some bugs with this one. It doesn't print, it doesn't display, and it puts in an awful lot of nulls. So if you get it all working, that's great, but this is all the further I really want you to go with it, is to where you can get something limping along. Okay. And then tell me what you did by looking at your chat prompts of how you prompted ChatGPT to create this. In my case, I started with the top saying there, and then said, please give me the code for append text and insert text. And I pasted it all in there, because as you played with ChatGPT, if you start with a question and you stay in line with that question, it keeps refining the answer and streamlining what it returns to you. So if you are working on a big thing, I don't know, I want to learn Lua, and you keep drilling down, it will give you context. It maintains context as you add more prompts within the same session until you go to new chat and it starts all over again. When it opens a file, it writes the file. Let me try something here. Oops. What is that? And what? 10 characters. Yeah,
I think it's accepting one character it's there now. Pardon? I think it's accepting.
it's other not found. Oh, yeah. This was the problem we had with our earlier versions of typewriter that simply took from the screen your input and printed it out. So if I was to go back to that code, let's look at, where did I put that? Nope. That's on my other computer. It's over here. Never mind. Hold on a sec. Good. Yeah, here we go. If I take this typewriter here, typewriter has them. What we have is we have a buffer that's set up here at the top. And your buffer is set pretty small. Because what happens if I run this one and it says enter text, and if I put in more than 64 characters, notice it says J not found. So all this, that's overflowing the buffer. So your buffer is only allocating enough for one character. So if I do this again, as long as I keep it less than 64 characters, it's going to work just fine. Now you could say, submit the typewriter, this assembler, and said, please add directives to open a file and save it. You can, and see what it generates. You know, experiment. This is keep asking questions until you learn how to ask the right question to get the right answer. Kind of like learning how to use Google. In the early days, they recommended big idea, and then you refine it down with smaller content. And I haven't tried. I'm just using 3.5. I haven't even bothered with 4 because I'm just playing with code. And that's pretty well dialed in. Still puts the junk file, it still prints a lot of nulls. Or puts nulls into the file. But it actually prints now. Five lines and 4 million bytes. Oops, we have a problem. Junk file got really big. Let's leave it, see what happens when it doesn't exist. Yeah, it does need to exist. It doesn't create it, so. Let's see here. We're having fun with Chat GPT writing assembler code. Breaking my brain.
How many instructions were not supported?
Actually it's working. Not very well, but
Not very well. That's
it's working.
usually doesn't usually write very efficient code unless you drill it.
It's a very primitive editor, like Edlin
Oh, okay,
or the ed command. It does need to exist
yeah.
first.
Line by line.
Hmm?
It's line by line, yeah.
That's the old mail command uses it. Yeah. Print stopped working. Now, if I look at the file, a lot of those are nulls. A billion nulls.
Exactly a billion.
Hmm?
Exactly a billion.
Well, it's always ending the same size. It's always stopping at that number. So there's something about how it's looping and writing the buffer and putting, because the buffers are initialized with nulls. And
Did you ask ChatGPT to break down
yeah,
what's going on?
yeah, I've gone back and forth with it a few times, and this is where I ended up with it. But the code is 200 lines long, and where I think it's right in here. This append. Yeah. I'll post, I'll give you some time on it, that's, but I think this is a chat GPT exercise. And we happen to be using it separately. You getting it any better? Try it today. Yeah, this is, it should be a little more significant. This is the basic typewriter. All that's gonna do is take what you key in and print it to the screen. It's not reading and writing a file. And the goal is to tinker with it and see. And so just get it, something that close, this is going to be something that somebody's gonna ask you. Is how you need to check it. And you can say, hey, just what I did. I kind of did this way. If you want to try something a little more successful, use a programming language you already know, and say, help me write a Python program that calculates the difference of 2 dates, 2 calendar dates, gives you the number of hours, and it's seconds. So and play with it. That's kind of, because where I see the optimization is, it's going to speed up the movement and stuff. Here's my loop that I need from Python. Please write it for me. And you put in your start, stop, condition, skip, test. Like one very interesting exercise I've been playing with is write the FizzBuzz program in Lua. And it did a perfect job of explaining it and writing it and going, oh, this code is pretty easy to follow. Because Lua is very C-like.
The last thing I was having to do was like depth first searches, and then trying to like optimize it. Was what depth first search best here, or should we do the other one, like
Right.
which one's faster? Is this gonna work right? And then seeing if it can write some concurrent code, and that ended very, very poorly. It was not doing well with Go routines at all.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like every time we would fix one thing and then, oh, yeah, no, now we're still getting returns before we close the buffer, right? Like before we close that connection.
Interesting.
And then if it didn't do that, then it would just go forever. It would just go forever. Because it wasn't actually returning anything. It was throwing nulls into the channels, right?
Yeah.
So a null would get in there because it wouldn't return right into the Go routine, right?
Yeah.
And then it's going to the function like null value, so nothing comes out.
Yeah, there's a tool called Antler, ANTLR, that is a parser that converts languages to languages.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to get working C code that does what you want it to do, and say, convert this to Go. And see how it behaves.
Mm-hmm. I've done that with ChatGPT before, just giving it like either pseudocode or a Python or like, but
Yeah.
I'm like, but I want this in this program.
Right. And does it kick back some fairly decent answers?
It does. Sometimes it'll just be like when you don't want to use a bunch of different libraries or external libraries, it doesn't always get it right. Like,
I get that.
It's bad at
Yeah.
actually implementing code for like at the base level, but it can use libraries pretty well. Now there's a limitation because it's unless you're using some of the newer stuff where they've integrated like being able to search different databases or this website or the internet, right? Where it has outdated like so C would be better. is what I'm saying. For Go, right? Go is evolving all the time.
It is, yeah,
And like, if it was just a little bit before that, they wouldn't know how to use Go modules, right? Right? Like everything depends on you having a Go mod these
Right.
days, right? Because if you don't, then none of the dependencies work. You have to get the Go path, do all that stuff.
yeah.
But sometimes it just doesn't get the right versions on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's mainly the big thing. Or,
Yeah.
or it just isn't one of the functions will not work. It's usually the one that you want for, like, not the return stuff. It's
Yeah.
the meat and potatoes of the program.
Yeah,
And you're like, no, here, I fixed it. And then it'll try to keep putting in errors that it made back into the code, right? That's when you want to cut that conversation
and start over.
get a new context,
Yeah,
because it relies
because
on
it keeps, it's
built-in
narrowing down,
context.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the same rule that applies when you're doing the exploits where you're trying to make it give you output that it's not supposed to, right? After a certain amount of messages, it starts losing that context.
Yeah,
And even if you try to remind it again or try to do the thing over it, you
Yeah.
won't ever get it right.
yeah.
And you just have to start over.
Yeah,
Start over.
I noticed yesterday I was tinkering with this and I was looking up something that was. It was copyrighted and I just sent it in again. And it gave me the answer. I can't remember what I was looking up. It wasn't that big of a deal, but. This is fun though. It speeds the learning.
That for sure, it does. I've
Yeah, because I was
been
actually,
able to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise, or been, I mean, within the time limit that I was trying to do it in.
yeah,
Or just where I would have to do an extensive amount of research.
yeah, because I asked it saying, hey, how do you use the Apache web server to deliver images using iPixie boot?
Oh,
And it gave me a really good explanation, but it didn't fill in the details for iPixie boot. It said, go to this website
mhm.
and compile it for your target. And I'm like, well, that's still way better than this. It gave me some points that I didn't know I didn't. It gave me pointers to things I didn't know I didn't know.
That's a,
And it's huge in that respect.
I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of people, you would have to forgive them for not getting at anything about iPixie boot. Because they're like, what's that? They're like,
yeah,
what am I doing with old computers? You're trying to get Linux on an old computer or
yeah.
PowerBook or something like that, right?
What?
On my PlayStation 3, I was using iPixie.
Yeah,
Because it's like you need an integrated like Linux image, minimal Linux image in the load up of the kernel. You have to load Linux from Linux, but how do you get that into the bootloader?
right. And it showed you,
Yeah,
and that was really cool. Because what I'm pondering is that iPixie gives you a little bigger swath
mhm.
of space to put stuff. I think Tiny Core will fit in there, 10 megabytes.
Yeah, see, right. I think there's something what iPixie boot, the one that I was using is I think 512, wasn't it?
Yeah, 512 megabytes, which is plenty big enough.
Mhm.
And then, you might even, because you can pre-customize Tiny Core to be rammable. So it just pulls off the image and then just stays in RAM until you load your new image and reboot. I'm tinkering with how to set it up because I'm gonna have to refresh all these boxes. And I want to be able to, because I've been using Clonezilla. It's fine, works, it's just a little slow. because you're moving the whole image across. But the big thing with
At least you don't have to use.
Ubuntu and other ones is the pre-seed files.
Mhm.
You can actually get it pretty clean just by going through the pre-seed file. And then once you pull that image down, it's just,
I mean, so, right. I was thinking some of the older tutorials, like, just like Fedora, right? Most of the time they're doing for distributed things like this, they're doing a web install, right?
right,
Where they're hosting the image on
Right.
one computer and everybody's just grabbing from that. That's where all the repositories are. And
Yeah.
You don't have to,
yeah.
you don't have to live on the internet.
Yeah, because the Apache supports that. There's a config where you can put your ISOs out there and then it creates a drop down and you pick the ISO you want and bring it down. So,
I had to take
Okay,
a call
no
for,
worries.
like club meeting today. We're gonna.
Yeah.
Possibly just have my friend talk. Nobody else.
okay, yeah, no worries.
What are the requirements again for the Edlin? You have to append to a file.
Oh,
And-
just some basic ones.
Yeah.
Append, insert, and print it or display it to the screen.
What's insert then?
The insert would, I guess, append would put it at the end and insert would put it at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
If you want to be strict about it.
Okay, so append insert, was there a print in there? Was that
Yeah, print just displays it to the screen.
the whole file?
Yeah, because that's the problem I'm having. With
Okay.
The print is it's putting nulls in instead of printing, but yet
Okay,
it's rolling it back. But the goal of the exercise is to spend time with Chat GPT
Mhm.
and this is a lessons learned on what would I use this? How? What did
Yeah.
I learn? How am I going to get better with it? Because I find it quite useful,
yeah,
but it's also not the silver bullet. It doesn't solve if it speeds things up, but you still have to figure things out.
it gives you ideas. It basically
Right.
brainstorms for you.
Exactly.
And then it gets the
exactly.
details wrong sometimes.
Right. And then I'll post the lab for it. See, we're up to lab 9 now, I think. I can't even remember. And then we'll have a take home final, which won't be too hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fun stuff, huh?
Yeah, all right, so just append, insert, print, and quit.
Yes.
That's it. All right.
Mhm. Yeah, we're up to lab 9.
By the way, I did get that command working that.
I saw that.
Well.
For the typewriter
I
one.
got the 0 byte thing working too. And I was just using the wrong register name because ChatGPT gave me the wrong register name.
Oh, because when I looked up that command, I'm going, I remember something like this. It copies a string from one register to another.
Yeah,
And I'm going, oh, yeah. So it was vaguely familiar.
yeah, it uses like 3 registers for
Yeah.
the arguments.
Yeah.
So you have to get those right.
Yeah. Picky, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.